So where we ended the last chapter was where after Adam and Eve had been kicked out of the garden and had Cain and Abel and many other children, and Cain killed his brother Abel, and so Adam and Eve had another son named Seth. And that's where we were. Sorry, I'm tired. So before we start, I just like to pray over anyone that watches this live that needs a word or a better understanding of the word, and who wants to follow along with me. So in Genesis 5, Adam's descendants. From Adam to Noah. When God created mankind, he made them in the likeness of God. He created them male and female, and blessed them, and he named them mankind when they were created. When Adam had lived 130 years, he had a son in his own likeness, in his own image, and he named him Seth. After Seth was born, Adam lived 800 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Adam lived a total of 930 years, and then he died. When I find it interesting, they don't tell you when Eve dies or how old she was. I don't know. Weird thought. Hello, kitty. When Seth had lived 105 years, he became the father of Enosh. After he became the father of Enosh, Seth lived 807 years and had sons and daughters. Altogether, Seth lived a total of 912 years, and then he died. Could you imagine living that long? That's almost like 1,000 years. That's insane. That could be good or bad. I think I would like to live that long. I just love life. When Enosh had lived 90 years, he became the father of Kenan. These are some old dads. After he became the father of Kenan, Enosh lived 815 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Enosh lived a total of 905 years, and then he died. And when Kenan had lived 70 years, he became the father of Mahalalel. After he became the father of Mahalalel, Kenan lived 840 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Kenan lived a total of 910 years, and then he died. Then Mahalalel lived 65 years. He became the father of Jared. After he became the father of Jared, he lived 830 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, he lived a total of 895 years, and then he died. When Jared had lived 162 years, he became the father of Enoch. Holy moly! He was $162. I'm tired. He was 162 years old when he had Enoch. After he became the father of Enoch, Jared lived 800 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Jared lived a total of 962 years, and then he died. When Enoch had lived 65 years, he became the father of Methuselah. After he became the father of Methuselah, Enoch walked faithfully with God 300 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Enoch lived a total of 360 years. Enoch walked faithfully with God, and he was no more because God took him away. So Enoch is one of the two people in the Bible that didn't actually die. God just ascended him. So if you deep dive in 5:1, the Bible contains several lists of ancestors called genealogies. Two basic views concerning these lists include: they are a complete recording of the entire history of a family, tribe, or nation. Or two, they are not intended to be exhausted and may include only famous people or the heads of family. Became the father of could refer not just to a son, but also to a more distant descendant. Why are genealogies included in the Bible? The Hebrews passed on their beliefs through oral tradition. For many years, in many places, writing was primitive or non-existent. Stories were told to children who passed them on to other children. I think that's why I love stories. I'm definitely a storyteller and a story reader. Genealogies gave a skeletal outline that helped people remember the stories. For centuries, these genealogies were added to and passed down from family to family. Even more important than preserving family tradition, genealogies were included to confirm the Bible's promise that the coming Messiah, Jesus Christ, would be born into the line of Abraham. Genealogies point out that people are important to God as individuals. Therefore, God refers to people by name, mentioning their lifespan and descendants. The next time you feel overwhelmed in a vast crowd, remember the focus of God's attention and love is on you, individual, and on you. All human beings are related. Going back to Adam and Eve, mankind is a family that shares one flesh and blood. Remember this when prejudice enters your mind or hatred invades your feelings. Each person is valuable and unique creation of God. Always remember that. When Methuselah had lived 187 years, he became the father of Lamech. After he became the father of Lamech, Methuselah lived 782 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Methuselah, these are some hard names, lived a total of 969 years. Can you imagine? That's crazy. That's like a vampire. And then he died. When Lamech lived 182 years, he had a son. He named him Noah and said, "He will comfort us in the labor and painful toil of our hands caused by the ground the Lord has cursed." After Noah was born, Lamech lived 595 years and had other sons and daughters. Altogether, Lamech lived a total of 777 years and then he died. After Noah was 500 years, he became the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. He was 500 years old when he became a daddy. Tell me that's not crazy. I'm worried about having a 4 kid of 40. Let alone 500 years. That's insane. What would you even look like at 500 years back then? Would you still look young? It's like you age slower? Like, how did that work? Because I definitely feel like you age a lot faster now. I'm just saying. So Abel was the second child born into the world, but the first one to obey God. All we know about this man is that his parents were Adam and Eve. He was a shepherd. He presented pleasing sacrifices to God, and his short life was ended at the hands of a jealous older brother, Cain. The Bible doesn't tell us why God liked Abel's gift and disliked Cain's, but both Cain and Abel knew what God expected. Only Abel obeyed. Throughout history, Abel is remembered for his obedience and his faith. Hebrews 11:4, and he is called righteous. Matthew 23:35. The Bible is filled with God's generous guidelines and expectations for our lives. It is also filled with more specific direction. Like Abel, we must obey regardless of the cost and trust God to make things right. So, this for Abel, the strength and accomplishments, lessons from his short life, vital statistics, and key verse from that. He was the first of the Hall of Faith in Hebrews 11. He was the first shepherd, the first martyr for the truth, Matthew 23:35, sorry. Lessons from his life. God hears those who come to him. God recognizes the innocent, and sooner or later he punishes the guilty. Vital statistics. Where just outside of Eden. Occupation, shepherd. Relatives, Adam and Eve and brother Cain. Key verse. By faith Abel brought God a better offering than Cain did. By faith he was commanded as righteous when God spoke well of his offering, and by faith Abel still speaks even though he is dead. Hebrews 11:4. Abel's story is told in Genesis 4:1-8. He is also mentioned in Matthew 23:35, Luke 11:51, Hebrews 11:4, and 12:24. So, how did people live so long? Some believe that age listed here were links of family dynasties rather than ages of individual men. I don't believe that. I think it would have just said that. I think they really lived that long. He said he had a son of 500. Come on. That's silly. I think that's silly. Those who think these were actual ages offer three explanations. The human race was more genetically pure in this early time period with less disease to shorten lifespans. Now, that makes sense. No rain had fallen on the earth, and the vault of the water above, 1:7, kept out harmful cosmic rays and shielded people from environmental factors that hastened aging. Or 3, God gave people longer lives so that they would have time to fill the earth. I think it could be all three, honestly. I don't think it was dynasties. I think if it was dynasties, it would say it was dynasties. I mean, they go through a whole list of names. And they specifically say the age of when they died, how long they lived, how old they were when they had children. Noah was 500 years old. That's crazy. That's crazy. Got me at 40 worrying about that. He 500 years old. That's crazy. Just saying. Just saying. Some people have thought that the sons of God were fallen angels, but the sons of God were probably not angels because angels do not marry or reproduce. Matthew 22:30, Mark 12:25. Some scholars believe this phrase refers to the descendants of Seth who intermarried with Cain's evil descendants, the daughters of humans. This would have weakened the good influence of the faithful and increased moral depravity in the world, resulting in an explosion of evil. Nephilim refers to a power race of giants. So the story of Noah. The earth no longer the perfect paradise that God had intended. It is frightening to see how quickly humanity have forgotten about God. Incredibly, in all of the world, only one man and his family still worshiped God. That man was Noah. Because of his faithfulness and obedience, God saved him and his family from a vast flood that destroyed every other human being on the earth. God shows us how God hates sin and judges those who enjoy it. The flood. Wickedness in the world. When human beings began to increase in number on earth and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them that they chose. Then the Lord said, "My spirit will not be content with humans forever, for they are mortal, and their days will be 120 years." Bro, he knocked down like 800 years. I felt gypped. I wasn't even a part of this. You hear that? I wasn't a part of this. I think I should live longer. I'm just saying. The Nephilim were on the earth those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were heroes of the old, men of the renown. It reminds me of like Zeus and Hercules. Because it said they were heroes of the old, men of renown. That reminds me of Hercules. In 6:5, the Lord saw how great the wickedness of human race had become on earth, and every inclination of thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time. The Lord regretted that he had made human beings on the earth, and his heart was deeply troubled. So the Lord said, "I will wipe them from the face of the human race I have created, and with them the animals and the birds and the creatures move along the ground, for I regret that I have made them." But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. The Nephilim were giants, people probably 9 or 10 feet tall. These may have been the same people mentioned in Numbers 13:33, and Goliath, who is 9 feet tall, appears in 1 Samuel 17. The Nephilim used their physical advantages to oppress the people around them. Does this mean that God regretted creating humanity? Was he admitting he made a mistake? No. God does not change his mind. In 1 Samuel 15:29, instead he was expressing sorrow for what the people had done to themselves, as a parent might express sorrow over a rebellious child. God was sorry that people chose sin and death instead of a relationship with him. Noah and the flood. This is account of Noah and his family. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Did I mention he was 500 years old when he had these kids? Anyone else? No? Okay. Anywho, now the earth was corrupt in God's sight and was full of violence. God saw how corrupt the earth had become, for all the people on the earth had corrupted their ways. So God said to Noah, "I am going to put an end of all people, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. I am surely going to destroy both them and earth. So make yourself an ark of cypress wood, make rooms in it, and coat it with pitch inside and out. This is how you are to build it. The ark is to be 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. I don't know what a cubit is, but I think it's big. If it's going to hold animals, it's big. I'll have to Google that later. Make a roof for it, leaving below the roof an opening 1 cubit high all around. Put a door in the side of the ark and make lower, middle, and upper decks. So it was like 3 levels. This thing was huge. I am going to bring flood waters on the earth and destroy all life under the heavens, every creature that has breath of life in it. Everyone on earth will perish, but I will establish my covenant with you, and you will enter the ark, you and your sons and your wife and your sons' wives with you. You are to bring into the ark 2 of all living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. So not only did he have to build this ark, then afterwards he has to take care of all these wild animals. Like, he had to take care of them. I mean, think about that. It's not like they were sitting there for like 40 days, 40 nights, like, by candlelight, sitting at a table. No, like, they had to take care of, they had to feed animals and themselves, and it was probably hard. You are to take every kind of food that is to be eaten and stored away as food for you and for them. See? Food for... Sorry. My elbow needed a crap. For them and the animals. Noah did everything just as God has commanded them. And people probably thought he was absolutely crazy. They did. They usually do. When you have discernment and you know God's telling you something, and people are just like, yeah, okay, that's just in your head. Yeah, that was Noah. But guess what, guys? He was right. And y'all drowned. Just kidding. The Lord then said to Noah, go into the ark, you and your whole family, because I have found you righteous in this generation. Take with you 7 pairs of every clean animal, male and its mate, and 1 pair of every kind of unclean animal, a male and its mate, and also 7 pairs of every kind of bird, male and female, to keep their various kinds alive throughout the earth. 7 days from now I will send rain on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights, and I will wipe from the face of the earth every living creature I have made. And Noah did all of that the Lord commanded. Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters came to earth, and Noah and his sons and his wives and his sons' wives entered the ark to escape the waters of the flood. Pairs of clean and unclean animals, of birds and all creatures that move along the ground, male and female, came to Noah, entered the ark, as God commanded Noah. And after 7 days the flood waters came on the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, and on the 17th day of the 2nd month, very specific. On that day, all the springs of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of heavens were opened. There's actually scientific proof that something similar locally happened. And rain fell on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. I did a video on it, if you're interested. On that very day, Noah and his sons Shem, Ham, and Japheth, together with his wife and wives of his 3 sons, entered the ark. They had with them every wild animal according to his kind, all livestock according to their kinds, and every creature that moved along the ground according to its kind, and every bird according to its kind. Everything with wings, pairs of all creatures that have breath of life in them, came to Noah and entered the ark. Like, on their own, dude. God's like, yo, every animal, I need you on this boat. Go. Like, Noah didn't even have to do anything. He just opened the door. tell me that's not cool. Whatever. I think it's cool. The animals going in were male and female of every living thing as God commanded Noah, and then the Lord shut him in. So Lord protecting him. Noah didn't shut the door. God called all the animals. They listened to them. They went on the boat. Noah and his family went on the boat and their wives, and God shut them in. Okay, so deep dive into Cain, going back to the beginning of Genesis and Cain. In spite of parents' efforts and worries, conflicts between children and families seem inevitable. Sibling relationships allow both competition and cooperation. In most cases, the mixture of loving and fighting eventually creates a strong bond between brothers and sisters. It isn't unusual, though, to hear parents say, "They fight so much, I hope they don't kill each other before they grow up." In Cain's case, the trouble potentially became a tragedy. And while we don't know many details of the first child's life, his story can still teach us. Cain got angry, furious. Both he and his brother Abel had made sacrifices to God and had been rejected. Cain's reaction gives us a clue that his attitude was probably wrong from the start. See, I said it was a heart posture. I'm just saying, girl got discernment. So Cain got angry, furious. Both he and his brother Abel had made sacrifices to God and he'd been rejected. Cain's reaction gives us clue that his attitude was probably wrong from the start. Cain had a choice to make. He could correct his attitude about his sacrifice to God, or he could take out his anger on his brother. His decision is a clear reminder of how often we are aware of the opposite choices, yet choosing the wrong is just as Cain did. We may not be choosing to murder, but we are still intentionally choosing what we shouldn't. The feeling motivating our behavior can't always be changed by simple thought or power. But here we begin to experience God's willingness to help, asking for his help to do what is right, can prevent us from setting into motion actions we will later regret. So Cain's strengths and accomplishments, weakness and mistakes, lessons from his life, and vital statistics and key verse. Cain was the first human child. He was the first to follow in father's profession, farming. Weaknesses and mistakes. When Cain was disappointed, he reacted in anger, took the negative option even when a positive possibility was offered, was the first murderer. Lessons from his life. Anger is not necessarily a sin, but action motivated by anger can be sinful. Anger should be the energy behind good action, not evil action. The consequences of sin may last a lifetime, and in his case, generations. Vital statistics. Where? Near Eden, which was probably located in present-day Iraq or Iran. Occupation. Farmer, then wanderer. Relatives. Adam and Eve, brother Abel, and Seth, and others not mentioned by name. Key verses. If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it. Genesis 4:7. Cain's story told in Genesis 4:1 through 17. He is also mentioned in Hebrews 11:4, 1 John 3:12, and Jude 11. The people's sin grieved God. Our sins break God's heart as much as sin did in Noah's day. Noah, however, pleased God, though he was far from perfect. We can follow Noah's example and find favor in the eyes of the Lord, in spite of the sin that surrounds us. Saying that Noah was righteous and blameless does not mean that he never sinned. The Bible records one of his sins in 9:20. Rather, it means that Noah wholeheartedly loved and obeyed God. For a lifetime, he walked step by step in faith as a living example to his generation. Like Noah, we live in a world filled with evil. Are we influencing others or being influenced by them? 6:14. Pitch was a tar-like substance used to make the ark watertight. 6:15. The boat Noah built was no canoe. Picture yourself building a boat the length of 1.5 football fields as high as a 4-story building. Told you it was big. The ark was exactly 6 times longer than it was wide, the same ratio used by modern shipbuilders. This huge boat was probably built miles from any body of water by only a few faithful men who believed God's promises and obeyed his commands. Yeah, they probably thought he was nuts. 18. A covenant is a promise. This is a familiar theme in Scripture, God making covenants with his people. How reassuring it is to know God's covenant is established with us. He is still our salvation, and we are kept safe through his relationship with him. For more on covenant, see 9:8 through 17, 12, 1 through 3, and 15, 17 through 20. Noah got right to work when God told him to build the ark. Other people must have been warned about the coming disaster. Sorry, I'm tired. 1 Peter 3:20. But apparently they did not expect it to happen. Today's things haven't changed much. Each day, thousands of people are warned of God's inevitable judgment, yet most of them don't really believe it will happen, don't expect people to welcome or accept your message of God's coming judgment on sin. Those who don't believe in God will deny his judgment and try to get you to deny God as well. But remember God's promise to Noah to keep him safe. This can inspire you to trust in God for deliverance and judgment that is sure to come. Oh, sorry guys. I get tired. So I did 6 and I'm almost done with 7 and then I'm going to be done for the night. So that was about the time I was planning. Okay. So for 40 days the flood kept coming on earth and the waters increased. They lifted the ark high above the earth. The waters rose and increased greatly on the earth and the ark floated on the surface of the water. They rose greatly on the earth and all the high mountains under the entire heavens were covered. The waters rose and covered the mountains to a depth of more than 15 cubits. Every living thing that moved on land perished. Birds, livestock, wild animals, all the creatures that swarm over the earth, land perished. Birds, livestock, wild animals, all the creatures swarmed over the earth and all of mankind. Everything on dry land that had breath of life in its nostrils died. Every living thing on the face of earth was wiped out. People and animals and the creatures that moved along the ground and the birds were wiped from the earth. Only Noah was left and those with him in the ark. Was the flood a local event or did it cover the entire earth? A universal flood was certainly possible. Enough water exists in the ocean to cover all the dry land. The earth began that way, see 1:19:10. Afterward, God promised never again to destroy the earth with a flood. Thus, this flood must have either covered the entire earth or destroyed all the inhabitants on the earth. Remember, God's reason for sending the flood was to destroy all the earth's wickedness. It would have taken a major flood to accomplish this. accomplish this. And then it shows like a little map. I love that. It's so detailed. But I'm tired. So thank you for people that stayed. Hopefully, I might do something in the morning for work. Jesus, thank you and bless you, everyone who stopped by, even if it was just for a moment. I hope I touched some hearts, planted some seeds, and sent 10,000 angels to protect us. In Jesus' name, amen. Have a good night, guys.